Hey, how do you do? It's me, your favorite trans fam, and Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is often considered the easiest of the Five Nights franchise. So, how do you turn this frankly embarrassingly easy game into something that's slightly more difficult? Well, that's quite easy. You turn the secondary threat into a primary one. This challenge you impose upon yourself comes with a few unexpected changes to a majority of the gameplay. See, FNaF 3 was made around the idea of one major threat with a chunk of secondary threats that can't directly kill you, but make it easier for Springtrap to make its way towards you.
You are mine. I'm so sorry.
The entirety of FNaF 3 was designed with this one-on-one against Springtrap in mind, but what happens if you change that? Well, it drastically changes elements of the gameplay, where instead of worrying about just Willy Boy, you now have to always be on your guard against 6 other additional threats, some of which will decide you just lose with no way around. So how did I do this? Did I make some fancy mod or anything like that? No, if a phantom at any point jump scares me, I reset the game by exiting out, and that's it. I think I've explained enough, so let's get this video started, shall we? But before we begin, go down and hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a lot more than you think. It's free and only takes 5 seconds to do, and share this video with everyone and anyone you can. My goal is to eventually hit 100k, so if you want to be part of that, you know what to do. With that all being said, let's begin.
Oh my...
Night 1 is free, meaning no enemies are on the map, it's just you and the phone guy. So instead of going over the difficulties you'll face on this night, as I will to other nights, we can instead explain the game for those who don't know how FNaF 3 works, because I bet a good number of you still don't know how this game works years later. There are 2 main mechanics in FNaF 3, one being the maintenance system, and the other one being the cameras. Starting with the maintenance system is one of the main threats you'll face in the game. Lore-wise, this version of phone guy explains that the building is very old, and so is the equipment used throughout, as a way of keeping that vintage feeling that they were going for, except they overdid it a little bit. Periodically throughout the nights, one of 3 problems will spring up: audio errors, video errors, and ventilation errors. After a certain number of audio laws, the audio system will break, temporarily disabling the audio alert until you can reset the system. The video error will cut out your feed, making it impossible to see anything on the cameras, making them practically useless. And the ventilation errors will make the room start flashing red. Leave it unchecked for long enough and you'll start hallucinating, making phantoms appear far more often, which for this challenge is not good. In order to stop them, you must reset each of the systems. Now, by themselves, the errors aren't too much of a problem. The problem is that they can stack upon each other, even having all 3 at once, which is what the reset all button is for. The second part of the gameplay is the cameras. The cameras are important for keeping Springtrap at bay, as there are no doors, nor is there a mask this time around, meaning Springtrap can just wander into your room, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it.
This attraction is great.
Have it!
So that's why it's crucial to keep him away from your office. The best cameras to keep him at is Cam 7 through 9. These 3 cameras are easily the best place to put him. One thing I know many people don't know about this game is the fact that Springtrap actually plays an audio cue for when he's close to your office. This audio cue will only play if Springtrap is in Cam 1, 5, or 2, aka outside your office. Or 2, this audio will play if Phantom Freddy is walking by. Meaning for this challenge specifically, it's very good, and was definitely a key component of my victory. And that's how the game works. So I forgot to mention the fact that Springtrap likes to go in the vents. Whoops. And when you look at the time, it's already 6 AM, which means it's time to move to night 2. Night 2 throws 3 new threats into the ring, one being Springtrap, the primary threat of the base game.
A poor showing.
Phantom Balloon Boy being the annoying pest that haunts the cameras, with the exception of the vents.
You knew I'd get you eventually.
And Phantom Mango, What the fuck? What the fuck? And Phantom Angle, the menace who will only stay put at Cam 4, making that camera particularly risky to peruse.
I wanted to wait until just the right moment to drop in.
Now, right off the bat, let's get something out of the way. FNaF 3 is not a very hard game at all, hence why I made this challenge. Springtrap is a very non-issue. In fact, spoiler alert, out of the 3 times I perished in this challenge, Springtrap killed me a grand total of 0 times.
You choose to be nothing!
Once you learn Springtrap's pattern, he is stupidly easy to keep at bay, specifically if you keep him in Cam 8, which is where I kept him a majority of the challenge. However, this camera will be brought up again as it does cause a little bit of a problem later on, but again, I'll get into that later. Phantom Balloon Boy, on the other hand, also has a grand total of 0 deaths.
Boo! You stink!
I'm the one who gave him everything that he has! I'm an ungrateful little shit!
Balloon Boy is quite easy to avoid if you don't have the reaction speed of a snail. However, things get interesting with Phantom Angle, with a fatality count of 2.
That's nice.
That's my bad. Phantom Angle actually has 1. I'm sorry. My bad again.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Phantom Angle is pretty easy to avoid. If you stay off Cam 4, your life will be easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, just like the FNaF World video, this video is a remake of an older video as well. In fact, you can still find the original video in the description below. However, this time around, it went incredibly smooth compared to last time. I'm not going to spoil that much just in case you want to go and see that video, but here's a little snippet of it. This video is some of the most RNG bullshit I've ever encountered in a game. I now know why Scott made the Phantoms not kill you, because they appear way too much. Certain Phantoms, if you get them, it's just game over, like Phantom Angle and Phantom Chica. They kill you no matter what. FNaF 3 becomes way more difficult when you're not just worrying about Springtrap, but the Phantoms too. They went from slightly inconvenient to a massive annoyance. Yes, it was surprising to me that this video wasn't fucked over in any way, shape, or form, which is rare, but that was night 2. Just like night 1, it was easy. Not as, but still very uneventful. Springtrap behaved himself quite well, and Phantom Balloon Boy and Mango were a non-issue. So now we're moving on to night 3. Night 3 comes out swinging with 3 new apparitions to haunt you. Phantom Freddy will occasionally from time to time pass your office window. Stay busy and he won't bother you.
Now would be a good time to hold your breath.
Phantom Chica has somehow trapped herself in an arcade cabinet, and looking at her for some reason will free her, which means Cam 7 is a pretty risky move. And lastly, we have Phantom Foxy, who will wait until you get off the tablet to ask if you have any games on it, making the switch over to the maintenance panel especially tricky.
When you can see, how fast can you flee?
These 3, despite being numerous and taking the threat count up to 6, aren't too hard to deal with. Phantom Freddy hates eye contact. Don't look at him, stay busy on your maintenance panel or cameras, and he won't bother you in the slightest. Phantom Chica might seem like trouble at first, but then you realize she also hates eye contact. If you stay on the cam for a short amount of time, she won't bother you as well.
Release me! Release me!
It's Phantom Foxy who poses the biggest threat, especially when paired with Phantom Freddy. Now, despite what you may think, Phantom Foxy isn't always a death sentence. He can be glitched, and glitched quite easily. However, it's not very consistent, so at that point you might as well throw in the towel. Phantom Foxy has game-ended me a total of twice. At this point, you have to worry about 6 different animatronics. However, despite that fact, Night 3 went incredibly smooth, with not even a single death. For some reason, this time around when I attempted a challenge, it was much more easier than the first attempt. It's probably because I've gotten a lot better at the game, and I'm not a stupid 17-year-old anymore, just a brain-dead 20-year-old. I thought this was going to be a lot harder than it really was, and it wasn't at all. And that does it for Night 3. Night 4 introduces one phantom, that being the marionette, the ghostly apparition that will stalk you in Cam 8, making them arguably the most dangerous phantom simply due to the fact that you need to keep Springtrap at Cam 8 for maximum efficiency.
The others are like animals, but I am very aware.
Spoiler alert, they never showed up even once. I expected them to show up a lot more than they did. That's kind of how I expected this challenge to go in general. The phantoms show up a bunch, I die, a lot of funny hijinks ensues. But no, nothing like that happened. It was actually very sad because, like, oh wow, Mangle killed me once and Foxy killed me twice, and that was it. I really did want this to be a more spectacular video than it turned out to be. Well, sure, it was fun to play again. It didn't really make for a very interesting video. Well, that's what it may seem at first, because this is only night 4. Maybe it increases in difficulty. Maybe I hid the truth until the very end. Let's see. Night 5 introduces no more animatronics. This is it. This is the big gauntlet. 7 threats, 1 mess up, and it's all the way back to 12 AM. And I died twice. Now, if this video teaches you anything, it should be the fact that Scott is not very good when it comes to balancing. The original idea for this video was to be a fun challenge, and that's what the original video was, when I made it almost 3 years ago. However, this time around, it was more of a commentary, if you will, on just how mind-bogglingly inconsistent the first 6 games are. Specifically, on how 3 is just insultingly easy. Originally, I was going to attempt Night 6, but I decided not to because, again, it would have been too easy. I know for a fact it would have been easy because I've beaten Night 6 quite easily in the past multiple times before. In fact, the hardest part about FNaF 3 is having to constantly juggle each of the maintenance errors. In fact, I think this challenge makes FNaF 3 even easier. The Phantom's jobs are supposed to distract you from Springtrap, making it easier for him to make his way towards you. However, if you remove this penalty and just restart the night, then Springtrap gets placed in a corner he cannot escape from, no matter how many vents he enters, no matter how fast he moves, no matter how many distractions he tries to pull on you. If the Phantoms do not penalize you, Springtrap simply can't win. Unless you're fucking stupid. I think FNaF 3 is the perfect example on how inconsistent Scott is as a game designer. We went from one of the hardest in the franchise to this day, FNaF 2, to the absolute easiest. I think that's rather impressive, and I don't mean that in a good way. Anyway, this challenge, again, was easy, but I still had fun playing it. It was definitely an improvement upon the original idea that I did 3 years ago, especially due to the fact that I didn't lie at all in this video compared to the original, where I said I died 40 times. Yeah, that was a fucking lie. I only died about 10 times. Anyway, if you learned anything from this video, it should be the fact that Scott doesn't know how to make games, and that's the video. Fuck you. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm addicted to God, when my bins are bars, will I feast on their hearts, skim till they take shots. This attraction is great, so many guys I can't